Okay, today we're going to be talking about how I heat my driveway with my wood boiler. And this is going to be my setup. How pretty much I did this all myself, and I kind of designed it after doing a lot of research. And so it may not be the prettiest setup, it may not be the correct way to do things, but this is the way I did it and it works. So kind of basic thing. We'll just kind of go over how it's heated, and I'll walk around the driveway a little bit to show you the loops that I do have and so on. And then I'll fire it up because we did get a little bit of snow. I mean, it's literally a trace, but it's cold enough that it laid on the cement. So I'll set the camera up somewhere. It'll be the first time I've done a time lapse of it melting, and we'll get it fired up here shortly so you can see some of the numbers change when the water temp goes up and so on. So the boiler obviously is outside, which is probably 20 feet from here, and it's obviously running at the moment. And then this right here is where the water lines come into the heat exchanger. And I believe it's rated at, I'd have to look. I want to say I got the one that's 200,000 BTUs. I'd have to double check that. It's either that or 250. I'm not 100%. I know if I stood on something, I could probably look at it. But so it's in there. It flows through the bottom first, goes in and then back out, and then goes over to where my second garage heater is. And that water, I have it going non-stop. I have the water coming in 24/7, regardless if I'm snow melting or not. That way the heat's already there, and I don't have it bypassed. Yes, I could put a switch in there that as soon as I turn it on, it'll let the water flow, but I can remotely turn this on from anywhere. So I wanted it to be instantaneous. The water's there, because as of right now, I don't know if you can see that, but that's the glycol is already at, I don't know, what is that, 100 and almost 130 degrees, but it's not circulating, because the water that the glycol that goes back to the heat exchanger is only at just shy of 60, because that's what the temp is I have in the garage here at all times. So that's what temp that is. So as soon as I run this, the coming back temp on here is going to drop down to easily 30 degrees because it's 25 degrees out right now. So, but the heat going out will probably, I'm not sure what the temp will be, but it'll probably be around 70, 80 going out. And eventually it'll climb to 110, 120. So, and then real basic thermostat. It will read what the indoor temp is. But in the background, that's what this probe is for. It monitors the return glycol temp, and when that reaches I think I have it set at 85-ish, 88 I think, return temp, it'll shut it down until that drops below that return temp, then it just turns right back on and starts circulating. So we'll go take a look at the loops really quick, roughly what they look like, and then we'll come back in, we'll fire it up, and we'll see how it goes. And I'll put the time lapse on so you can see that. So all the loops come out of here. As you can see where the loops were, they come out right through here. The first loop goes along the garage, runs the length of this here, and then comes behind the stove to this other entrance or this bag that I have firewood in. Pretty much this whole area from here to this joint here to that drain, this is all heated. So there's obviously not much going to melt here. The little snow that's there will melt. So that's loop one, and obviously it runs all the way back. The second loop is, give or take, to here, runs all these loops in here. These are all loops, they run this way, and they come all the way to that post. So all of this in here is all heated. So the second loop runs from roughly here to this joint here to here. That's loop 2, or I'm sorry, that's 2, that's 3, 4 is in here, and then so on, 5, 6, and then it goes, most of the loops will run this direction around and back, and then there's a bunch more in the middle. There's 10 loops total. So they're on average, give or take, 250 feet. There's a couple ones that are shorter, like I know loop 4, which is right here, is a little shorter, which is fine because this will melt first. This is roughly the path I would walk to go to the garage. The first loop's a little bit shorter than the rest. I haven't really balanced them out the greatest yet because we really just haven't had any snow to do that. So you'll see on the time lapse that I'll set up today that some sections melt faster than the others, and I just got to slow those down. That way the other ones can catch up. So like I said, we have a little bit of snow here, and it's cold enough that nothing should really melt. Obviously, some stuff is melting where it's a little bit warmer for whatever reason. This is obviously a loop here, so, and one over there. So we'll see. But like I said, I'll set it up so you can see that. And then here, let's just get it fired up. And I can, like I said, I can turn it on from my phone here, which I'll do in a second. So turn it on. It just turned on, and give it a second, it'll fire up. There it goes. So this gauge will change. That's the return temp. That's the water getting put out to the slab that's getting mixed at the heat exchanger. So that number is going to rise instantly, and then it will drop as soon as the glycol starts coming back. So let's look at these. So you can see the flow rates, right? So they're all flowing, all 10 loops. And like I said, some are, and these flow rates will go up as soon as the glycol gets warmer. It wasn't really that cold last night, so it's probably not that. The water temp, or the glycol temp's probably in the upper 20s. It's not too bad. So instantly we have almost 80 going out. That number will drop. And then the glycol coming back shows right now 45-ish, but that's going to drop for a while. And then I can do a follow-up video when it's almost at full temp what it is. But that'll drop down and it'll eventually slowly rise up to about 80, 85 degrees, and then it'll shut off and do its thing. And it'll do that for however long I want it to. And I can set it to, you know, flow or run for as long as I want, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, and so on. So when I ordered the manifold, I originally ordered just a 5-loop manifold because we only did a certain section of the driveway, and then the project doubled in size, so then I had to order another one. And when I ordered it, the only one they had was the inverted one, as you can see. So because the original plan was to have this manifold over here go straight down, but this is the only one I could get, and I had the concrete schedule like the next week, and I couldn't get one as I'm back ordered, and I wanted a high quality one. So this is what I got. Like I said, it's not the prettiest setup, but it's in my garage. I don't care, it works. Down the road I may potentially get a different one and put it over there, but I don't know, who cares? It's out of the way. It's fine. It's just, you know, it's kind of cumbersome, but it works. So, and obviously you can adjust the flow by, you know, this would be the hot going out, which is already pretty warm. You can change this flow. I have all these wide open, and then I control the flow rate with these. You just spin them. So, and that'll change, as you can see here. I'll adjust it and it'll change the flow. I have this one down a little bit because this loop is, I know it's one of the shortest. And when it warms up, you'll see that all of these will go up a little bit more and more as it goes. I may put a bigger pump on this manifold here that goes, that rotates the water there. We'll see, just to get it flowing a little bit faster. But it works, you know. It's just, I mean, how crazy do you want to get? You're just melting snow. But the faster you can get the water out, the better, of course. But you do want to bring the slab up slowly. You don't want to bring it up too fast. It's just not good for the structure of the concrete. But so the water that's coming back, getting mixed, it shows, I don't know if you can read that, but it's right around a little over 60. The temp of the water being mixed right now is almost 110 degrees, probably 109. So that's how much heat it's taking off the heat exchanger. I know the water in the boilers, I want to say it's around 180 degrees right now. So it's pulling, and it's pretty good, 110 degrees being mixed when the water coming back is already up to 45 degrees, which is pretty good. It's been running for what, 3-4 minutes now. Water going out is 90 already, so that's good. And as you can see, some of the flows are getting better because it's getting warmer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the time lapse somewhere. I'm not really sure where I'm going to put it, and then I'll just let it run for however long till everything's melted. I may let it run till everything's dry, which you kind of have to, because if you leave it all wet and you turn it off, yeah, the slab's going to stay warm for at least a couple hours. I just don't want it to freeze, and now I got a sheet of ice. So once you kind of started, you almost got to let it go until it's dry. That's the way I do it. As you could tell, there's a little bit of grade there. It does have some texture to the concrete, but you don't want it to be slippery. So, but eventually my whole driveway, which is really long, will be heated. We plan on doing an addition, maybe not this year, but the following year, and then the whole driveway besides the new portion. It's all going to get ripped up, and it's all going to be snow melt. And my boiler is going to heat the whole thing, and it's going to be a lot of glycol, a lot. So if you do any comments, don't get crazy. I know it's probably not the best setup, but it works. I really can't complain. So, but eventually this mixing temp will get to almost 100 degrees. I know it pulls some of the hot water from the pump coming down into here and then goes back in to get mixed, but which is kind of nice that some of this goes out and some of it gets mixed. That way it doesn't hit the boiler too hard, because otherwise you'll deplete the water in the boiler pretty quick. But I may do some adjustments to kind of slow down the mixing rate. I can always turn the pumps down, which does make a difference. And I always have this one turned up. Like I said, I may change this one down the road. We'll see, because that'll flow the water or the glycol through the lines a lot quicker. So, but yeah, that's pretty much how my boiler heats my driveway. If you think about it, it's pretty simple setup. I mean, I did insulate this pretty good because you don't want any of the heat loss coming out. I will enclose that eventually. I just left it open just to make sure I didn't have any leaks when I did set it up. I've run this probably a couple times with almost a trace of snow like this. I haven't got any really good snowfall to really test it. I will probably run it as it just starts snowing. That way you don't get too much accumulation. That way I can actually see it working. But in the future, I'll probably turn it on beforehand. Let it get up to temp. That way when it starts snowing, it melts instantly when it hits the slab. So, but it makes a good video for a snow lapse if there is snow on the driveway and it melts. So that way you guys can see that it works. And as you can see, the mixing temp's already going up. It's probably almost 68 degrees already, almost 70. So it works. Water coming back, it's already at 50 degrees, but the slab's not 50 degrees. The water temp is. It's going to take a good hour for that temp of the slab to slowly start coming up. Water going out is already almost 90. It's probably 96 degrees going out. So she's heating up pretty quick, which is good. And like I said, once it reaches temp that I have it set at, I think it's 88, it'll shut down for probably 5 minutes, and then it'll run again for 5 and turn off and turn back on, and so on, and repeat the cycle. So, but yeah, I'll go set the camera up right now. That way you can see it melt. And if you have any other questions about what I have going on or anything at all, or suggestions or what you think, let me know. But yeah, stay tuned.